Alright, back again, guys. Today I want to start out the video with a product review, and the product is actually the shirt that I'm wearing. You guys can see that. This shirt I picked up at a local car show. I paid $27 for the shirt, and they threw in a sticker. But the company is called Grunt Style. They've been around for a while. They're definitely a patriotic type uh, clothing manufacturer. But one of the things that I've done in the past with multiple different organizations and different hobbies is that I dig into things to find out if they're honestly true to their word. Now, the amount of patriotism behind this shirt is employing 300 employees here in North America. The originating CEO of this company was a former Army veteran that ran the business kind of like if he was still in the barracks of the Army. Um, Not very professional. The company, approximately 2 years ago, the board of directors relieved him of his seat and replaced him with an individual from Under Armour. So a lot of their clothing is very similar if you've ever bought anything from Under Armour. This shirt being at $27 is about half the price of what you would for Under Armour. In Under Armour, you never know where it's going to be made, whether it be China, Mexico, someplace outside the United States, and even the printing. This company here, the printing is done by the 300 individuals here within the United States. A couple different locations around Chicago and one in Texas. I'll have to tell you guys, it's a very comfortable shirt. It's been washed. It did not shrink. It's lightweight. It allows it to breathe. Even being black, I wore it out today in the sun, and it stayed cool. It wasn't like holding a black sweatshirt or something on you and just cooking away. This was nice, and the material really allowed the air to breathe out. So that's a product review. If you guys are not familiar with Grunt Style, they're worth looking into. Now, when I approached the two individuals at the booth where they were selling these shirts, I asked them where the shirts were actually being made. And they were honest with me, and they said a lot of the shirts are actually being outsourced now to South America to be put together, but then all the printing is done here with the United States. So these shirts aren't necessarily made in the United States, but they're not going to China. This one here is actually sewn together in Guatemala. All right. But the rest of the manufacturing and the money is staying here with the United States, and it is helping veterans. They donated over $100,000 in 2021 towards veteran facilities. So, knowing that that money is staying here, the profits they are making is staying here and helping our veterans, I will purchase that type of product. Other than, for instance, my hat here, it's an older Mopar hat. Um, Innovative product. So this hasn't been around for a long time. Well, it says right on the tag, crafted with pride within the United USA. Um, to be specific, it's actually Weaverville, North Carolina is actually the manufacturing. They do emblems, caps, shirts, jackets, pins, and medals. So there are clothing companies here with the United States. So I did say to these guys, for in order for me to keep giving you guys business or to become a monthly member, group member, you need to start transitioning your stuff to being 100% made here in the USA. Simple as that. That should be more than common sense to anybody that is alive in today's world. We need to make all of our own products here at home. Speaking of which, you guys that are new to this channel or just tuning in here, you've seen I had one video on a car that I've been building recently. And I had another YouTube channel that was all about building that car. Just that kind of that interest. One of the things I worked on today when I was outside was replacing some of the valves in the cylinder heads. And these are Speed Pro valves from about 20 years ago. They're 202 size, small block Chrysler. They have a small radius down here be, before the tulip of the valve, but they have a very big dish underneath here. One of the things that I get into is I build race car engines for multiple different places and for different individuals. And little things like this, while they might be cheap from a parts catalog or manufacturer, they're going to suffice with more street worthy type manners, type performance levels. So for small block Chrysler, anything underneath 600 horsepower. I'm building this engine here now to be able to compete in performance racing on pump gas and be able to withstand the abuse for a long time. So one of this being one of the older valves, I don't want to use this one. It's very low quality. It's heavy. There wasn't very many miles on this one, but this one it wasn't sealing right within the seat of the cylinder head. So what I actually did was you can see around the edge here, I actually put small little carbides that are at different angles in the valve. So most of you guys that are getting into this stuff, take your cylinder head off to a machinist and say, okay, put a multi-valve angle seat job onto it, and they have to go through the process of matching the valves to the seats and cutting the seats, a whole 9 yards that you guys probably don't even need to know. With this one valve that I've modified, I know I can take this and slide it into each port with a drill on the other side, spin it around, and it cuts all the seats exactly the same, and I match it to this style of valve. Now, there's a parts shortage, as you guys know. To get performance Farah valves that are flush on the bottom and have a more shallow tulip to them, you're looking at least 6 weeks to 6 months back order before you can even get a set. All right, I do not have the time to wait for that. The engine I'm building to just go and get another set of Speed Pro valves like this, next day delivery. Okay, I could get another valve, throw it right in there, go on with a complete set, and not get the full power potential and the efficiency out of the engine that I'm going for. When I design engines, I design all the components to work together. These are going to be your standard street performance. They're not going to be working with a port job that I did to the cylinder heads, and they're heavy. So it limits the RPM level that they can withstand and the amount of weight that they add to the valve train. Fair valves, or even if I were to go down to a 2.0 valve, 2.0 valve from like a small block Chevy that's a hollow stem valve, they're a lot lighter, but they won't flow the size of the 202. So one of the things that I've been doing today with a little bit of the metal shavings and dust and stuff all over my shirt is I actually went and looked at a set of big block Chevy valves that I had left over from a previous build. All right, they are 218 diameter valves, but the tulip is 10 times more aggressive than this here. It's not as gradual, and it's a completely flush bottom. Okay, they're sitting on the shelf collecting dust. So I literally went today and completely customized those 218 valves and ground them down to match the ports exactly the way I wanted to, and they come out to like 2.022 diameter on the outskirts, and it's a nice rounded transition over the seat area, and there's no need necessarily for a back cut because the tulip extends out to that ridge, and that's it. And the bottoms are also a little bit thicker, so the nose or the lip over the edge here is actually rounded off with the fair valve because of the flush bottom. Just by switching those valves, there's probably 15 CFM additional airflow just for the style of those valves. and they're big block Chevy replacement valves. Um, so I saved myself a little bit of money, a lot of headache, and a bunch of time waiting for parts. Now I have this valve for any cylinder head that I have that uses a 202 valve. I can slide this down in there, spin it around, and the carbides that I put all the way around, each and every other one is at a different angle. So I have there's 4 cuts into it, with the 45 being the seat, and then a back cut, and a top cut, and then an edge cut here to take off that lip. Very easy to put this in there and just grind that in. So not too many guys have ever found that out and are actually utilizing it. Most of them get handheld cutters, or they take a machinist or using presses. I've tested a couple of these on these cylinder heads already, and they seal. They look like they were meant specifically for those cylinder heads, even though they're big block Chevy valve stems. The Chrysler is the 11/32, and so is the big block. So they just fit right in. The retainers, believe it or not, even though this is a single groove, the big blocks have a single groove, but they have the lower circumference. So I had to switch over to the locks retainers that I had from the previous build, and they were chromoly 10-degree locks retainers, even for the springs. Lo and behold, saved myself a bunch more money, because the valve springs that I had for that engine, for the Chrysler engine, were good to 550 lift and approximately 6,500 RPM. The big block combination uses the exact same outside diameter valve, dampener, and inner spring, so it's a triple spring setup, is capable of handling up to 700 lift and probably 7,500 to 8,000 RPM. So by taking big block Chevy stuff and putting it on my small block Chrysler, I just saved myself a bunch of money by using what I had laying around. So I just wanted to share that with you. Like I said, I'm all about buying American. I'm also about coming up with your own fixes for the problems that you have, utilizing the things that you have laying around. Other guys think in order to go fast, you have to buy everything expensive. That is not true. But you don't have to skimp out and buy Chinese crap in order to get cheaper stuff. All you have to look for is different engine families, and a lot of times the parts can be machined or modified to fit whatever you have, and they're going to be better quality than the Chinese stuff, and they're not going to be nearly as expensive as like the full out Farrow valves. Okay, Farrow valves, a set over $600. The Speed Pro, about $100. The valves and valve springs that I came from my big block were less than $300 when the engine was put together with that configuration. So drastic difference in price, and it's going to go a lot faster than what I did before. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm just getting ready to head it in for the night. Thought I'd share that with you. Again, check out the Grunt Style clothing. I'm not a paid advertiser for it, and if you go on other channels, there's multiple sites that are sharing their clothing. I'm a stickler with being American made, so Grunt Style, military guys, especially the Marines that are on board working there, you guys better be pushing that. It better be made in America. If you do, I will definitely be a repeat customer. If it's made in Guatemala, you can take it with all the other stuff that's coming in from all over the different places of the world. So with that, have a good one.